Today we are exploring an ancient faction in Dawn of War, the Necrons. If you've ever wanted to play an army of skeleton robots that rise from the dead and march across the battlefield like an unstoppable tide, this is the faction for you. But here's the catch. Necrons play completely differently from every other race in the game. No requisition, no traditional tier system, no basic infantry spam. Instead, you'll need to master their unique economy, slow start, and devastating late game. Your main objective when playing as the Necrons is to revive your Monolith, a mobile fortress that begins each game dormant and buried in the sands. It's your main building, your headquarters, and unit production facility. As you build secondary structures, you can revive your Monolith and gain access to more and more powerful units. So grab your Scarabs, because we're doing a complete beginner's guide to the Necrons. Let's start with the fundamentals. The Necron economy. Unlike the other races, Necrons do not use requisition. Instead, everything they build and recruit is powered purely by energy. Power from generators and obelisks. Each plasma generator gives a steady flow of power. You'll want several as soon as the game begins. Capping strategic points doesn't give you any requisition. Instead, you can construct an obelisk on them that increases the speed at which you can train units. Of course, getting strategic points will also deny strategic points from your enemy, and building obelisks on them provides you with some defense when they are upgraded. They also act to increase your population capacity for units. Now, whilst the Necrons don't have requisition, they do have a time bonus resource. As you catch more strategic points, your time bonus improves. This means that all Necron unit training, structure construction, and research times are reduced. This is key. At the start of the game, your Necron Warriors will take a very long time to reinforce, but as your economy scales, they'll start appearing much quicker. So in short, Necrons, they snowball hard. The more time bonus you have, the stronger and faster your entire army becomes. It's also worth noting that the Necrons do not suffer from negative cover, so feel free to stroll through rivers. Now let's dive deeper into the Necron army roster, because understanding your units is crucial to playing this faction effectively. Each unit has a purpose, and if you use them correctly, they can be devastating. We'll start at the very beginning with the builder Scarabs. These are your workers. They capture points, they build everything in your base, and they repair on the battlefield. They are fast, but they are also fragile, so you don't want to be fighting with them. What you do want is lots of them. Think of Scarabs like the gears of your faction. The more you have turning, the faster your economy snowballs. And remember, it's completely free to add more squad members to the Scarabs, so make sure you do that whenever they spawn from your Monolith. Then come your core infantry, the Necron Warriors. These are your backbone. They are slow to produce early on, but they are durable, and they can do great all-round damage. They are not flashy, but if you keep them alive into the mid-game, they'll start reinforcing faster as your economy improves. Suddenly, the single warrior squad you built early on is a brick wall that is hard to kill. Preserve them, because they scale harder than almost any other tier 1 unit in the game. Now, at the heart of your force, you've got the Necron Lord. He's your commander. And right out of the gate, he's tough, he's tanky, and he's dangerous. He comes equipped as standard with a teleport ability, but what makes him terrifying are his upgrades. As you tech, you can give him tools to fit whatever you need. Things like Phylactry that makes thousands of Scarabs surround the Necron Lord, reducing the amount of damage he takes from ranged units, making him a frontline menace. Or you can give him army-wide support with the Resurrection Orb that allows the Necron Lord to temporarily resurrect fallen troops, as well as increase the chance of fallen troops returning to life. Not to mention, in the late stages, the Nightmare Shroud upgrade allows the Necron Lord to strike terror into enemies, causing those terrorized enemy units to cease fighting and run in fear. Now, in any match, you can only actually choose up to 3 of these upgrades, so you'll have to pick wisely. Now of course, the Necron Lord can't do it alone, and so you'll need to support him with a choice of units. One of these unit squads are the Flayed Ones, who are creepy melee shock troops. These guys don't walk onto the battlefield, they erupt out of the ground. You can deep strike them behind enemy lines as long as you have vision of the area, and when they erupt from the ground, they can start to break enemy army morale. A good Flayed One drop can completely disrupt an enemy army's back line. Summon them right on top of the enemy's back line while your warriors and Necron Lord shred what is left in front. Another unit squad that you can choose are the Wraiths. They are your first real mobile unit. They are fast, they are melee, and they are great for tying up enemy ranged squads or chasing down fragile units. Their speed makes them invaluable for harassment and disruption. They can even cloak, which makes them a nightmare to track down. They can detect enemy infiltrated units, take reduced damage from ranged attacks, and like Necron Warriors, some Wraiths may reassemble themselves when destroyed. As you tech up your HQ, the Monolith, to tier 2 by researching the Awakened Monolith technology, you bring the Monolith systems back online to summon more powerful Necron units. One of such units are the Immortals. These are your anti-vehicle specialists. They are fragile if left exposed, but their Gauss blasters absolutely tear through tanks and fortified buildings. If your opponent is rushing vehicles or turrets, Immortals are your answer. Always try to keep at least one squad handy from tier 2 onwards, or you could struggle against armor. Then there's the Tomb Spyder, one of your more unique support units. Whilst it is a tier 2 unit, you'll also have to have built the Greater Summoning Core. On its own, it's a chunky melee monster, but its real strength is utility. It can create fresh Scarab squads on the battlefield for attacks. They can also recycle fallen Necron bodies into free warriors or Flayed Ones. In long battles, a Tomb Spyder can effectively rebuild your army for you. Bring one along when you want to grind the enemy down and never let up. Another tier 2 unit that unlocks once the Greater Summoning Core has been summoned is the Destroyer. They are fast, flying gunships with strong anti-infantry fire. They are excellent for mobility, chasing and harassing. And then there are Pariahs. These are your late game melee elites and are available once you have upgraded your Monolith with the Engaged Monolith upgrade. They are slow and very expensive, but once they reach the front line, they are very difficult to stop. Their attacks slows enemy movement speed and lower their maximum health. Pair Pariahs with your Necron Lord and you'll have a front line that most enemies will find very difficult to crack. You'll also unlock in tier 3 the Heavy Destroyer. Think of these as the bigger, meaner cousins of the regular Destroyer, but instead of targeting infantry, they bring heavy anti-vehicle and anti-aircraft firepower. They are fragile if caught, but in the right hands, they can cripple an enemy's armor advantage quickly. And finally, we've got the Lord Destroyer. This is a unique twist on the Destroyer line by being more of a specialist support unit. Its main ability is to literally take control of enemy vehicles, converting them to your side. Yes, you heard that right. With a Lord Destroyer, the Predator or the Hammerhead that was giving you trouble can suddenly be fighting for you. It is situational, and the unit itself isn't very strong in combat, but in the right matchup, a Lord Destroyer can completely flip the script. Next, we have the Nightbringer. This is one of 2 of the Necron Lord's ultimate transformations. In order to unlock these ultimate transformations, however, you'll need a research from the Energy Core building that can only be made once your Monolith is in its 3rd tier of being upgraded. When you activate it, the Necron Lord becomes the Nightbringer, and for a short time, he's practically unstoppable. He carves through entire armies, with damage inflicted being transferred as health to the Necron Lord. Trigger the transformation in the middle of a big fight, or right before your opponent thinks that they've got you cornered. It can single-handedly turn the tide of battle. But the Necron Lord doesn't just have one super unit form, he has 2. The other is the essence of the Deceiver. This form embodies trickery and control. When you summon the Deceiver, you gain powerful abilities to manipulate the battlefield. Things like creating an illusionary monolith to draw your enemy's fire, or forcing enemy units to turn on each other. It's not as straightforward as the Nightbringer, but in the right hands, the Deceiver can dismantle armies without even swinging a blade. So that is the Necron roster. From Scarabs to Warriors, from Destroyers to the Nightbringer, every unit has its role. You pick the right unit for the job, you keep them alive, and together they form an unstoppable war machine that only gets stronger the longer the battle goes on. Of course, the centerpiece of the Necrons is the Monolith, and so that's where we all start when talking about buildings for the Necrons. This isn't just your headquarters, it's your production center, your tech tree, and eventually your super weapon. Every time you upgrade it, you unlock new tiers of units and abilities. In tier 4, after an energy core has been built, the final form of your monolith can move anywhere on the map. Its weapons are powerful enough to level armies and bases on its own. Use it as a forward base, use it as a siege engine, just don't let it fall, because it is literally the heart of your faction. Next up are plasma generators. These are the bread and butter of your economy. Every Necron unit, upgrade and structure that is not free consumes power. No power, no army. Simple as that. Build several early on and continue to expand them throughout the game. A common mistake beginners make is underbuilding generators. If you stall your power income, that's an easy way to lose before you even hit the mid-game. Generators can also be upgraded to be able to give you more power as you increase the tech level of your economy, but generators are so critical that you really want to get them online as soon as possible, and then keep adding more whenever you can. Next are the Obelisks, your unique way of converting strategic points into real benefits. Unlike other factions, Necrons don't get requisition from capturing points. Instead, you place an obelisk on a strategic point, which boosts your global power income. Obelisks also come in with firepower. You can select the obelisk and then select the ability to fire at your foes. Think of obelisks as economic boosters and mini activatable turrets. When you capture key points on the map, don't just leave them empty. Build an obelisk. Your army will thank you later. For more direct ways to defend yourself with structures, Necrons also have the Gauss Turrets. These structures fire powerful Gauss shots at enemy infantry and light vehicles, making them perfect for defending choke points. It can also be worth to place them near strategic points to buy time against early attacks. The Summoning Core structure allows you to summon certain advanced units from your monolith, such as the Wraith and Flayed Ones, giving you more flexibility in fielding high-tier forces. It also unlocks additional tech upgrades that improve your army's effectiveness, such as Disruption Field that increases Necron Warrior health and damage, and when the monolith has been awakened, the Wraith Flight upgrade improves the Wraith's movement speed and further reduces the range damage that they receive. Once you hit tier 3, you can construct the Greater Summoning Core. This allows you to summon more powerful units like the Tomb Spyder and the Destroyer. The Forbidden Archive is one of the most important late game tech structures because it gives you access to the most powerful upgrades for your Necron Lord and his Catan abilities. The first of these upgrades is the Chronometron. With this upgrade, time around the Necron Lord slows down and enemy units within the area of effect get their movement speed reduced by 40%. It has a 70-second cooldown, so it has a temporary effect once the ability has been activated. It does also have a passive movement speed reduction, however, of 10% to all enemy units within a radius of 5 from the Necron Lord. The Phase Shifter research allows the Necron Lord and any friendly troops within the area of effect to have their morale restored. They become invulnerable, gain 10 health per second, however, they can't use their weapons for 15 seconds. The health regeneration effect is tripled if you have the Phylactry upgrade for the Necron Lord only. The Lightning Field upgrade means that 90% of the damage taken by the Necron Lord in melee is reflected back and is also inflicted on the enemy. All of the damage taken by the Necron Lord in melee also adds to the ability's charge, along with 45% of the damage inflicted by the Necron Lord in melee. The ability can store a maximum of 900 points of damage. This stored energy can then be unleashed as a storm of lightning in a circle around the target when the ability has reached at least 20% charge. When cast, the ability deals a flat 315 damage to all enemy targets at maximum charge, although damage scales smoothly as the ability charges up. The Solar Pulse research allows an ability which, creates a solar pulse on the target location that blinds the enemy and guides the Necrons. Enemy units within the area of effect have their sight range and detection range reduced to 10%, and they are unable to use their ranged weapons. The Phylactry upgrade surrounds the Necron Lord with thousands of tiny Scarabs. These Scarabs greatly reduce the amount of range damage. In fact, it's by 60% that the Necron Lord takes. The Scarabs also repair the Necron Lord's body, tripling his health regeneration rate. With the Resurrection Orb ability, all the destroyed Necron Warriors, Flayed Ones, Wraiths, and Immortals within the area of effect reassemble and stand up with 30% of their original hit points. This ability also provides a passive 25% bonus to the chance for Necron troops to reassemble themselves. However, the Necron Lord cannot resurrect troops beyond the current maximum squad population +4 when casting this ability. The Veil of Darkness is a permanent passive ability that makes the Necron Lord and friendly units and buildings within the area of effect infiltrated as long as the Necron Lord has at least 50% health. The Nightmare Shroud ability means that enemy infantry are forced to flee the Necron Lord for 8 seconds, and despite all of that, there are still some upgrades for the Necron Lord, and they can come out of the Energy Core. The Energy Core is another advanced structure with its main function to be enabling the Monolith to be upgraded to a mobile fortress, as well as containing research to allow the Necron Lord to manifest into the Nightbringer or the Deceiver. So with all the units, structures and core gameplay mechanics covered for the Necrons, let's try and go through a general build order opener for the Necrons that you might want to use in multiplayer games. But wait, before we do, there are some principles that I think that you really need to remember regardless of which build order you choose to use for the Necrons. So firstly, whenever you make Scarabs and whenever they pop out of your Monolith, you must reinforce them. It's completely free, there's no reason not to. Also, whenever your Monolith is idle from making something, you could be making Necron Warriors. Again, they are free, however, they will take up some population space. With regards to flexibility, the main thing really here with this upcoming build order is that you may need to build a Gauss Turret and delay your first Flayed Ones and make a second Necron Warrior in place of the delayed Flayed One. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. So first things first, we'll take a Scarab, build a generator, and then queue up more Scarabs from the Monolith. The Scarab that we spawned with, we're going to need to reinforce him, and then we're going to shift queue the new generators, just to get prepped and ready for when the new Scarabs come out. So as you can see, we waypointed the Monolith with the Scarabs coming out to the generators. Here he comes, and then once he does come out, as soon as he does, we have reinforced him. We can do it twice, so make sure to do that because it's free and there's no reason not to. So in total, we will be making up to 5 Scarab squads in this build order to help build all of our economy. There is the 3rd Scarab, we have reinforced him. Now when the 4th Scarab pops out, he'll be going to build a summoning core. That will enable us to get the Flayed Ones, also get some upgrades for our Necron Warriors should we wish to do so. Once the first of the plasma generators has been built, we're taking those Scarabs to build another of the generators, and we just kind of swap around a bit, don't worry about that as long as you've got a Scarab on each of the plasma generators. As you can see, we started to build the summoning core, but it's important to recognize at this point that you must have queued up all of the Scarabs that you need to make 5 in total. So you started off with 1, so you queued up 4 Scarabs, and then you have queued up a Necron Warrior. The Necron Warrior is essentially the first military unit that we have in this build order. So, with all this in mind, Once the Scarabs have completed the 4th of the plasma generators, they go to build the next one, the 5th one. After that, all the Scarabs will be queued over to build the summoning core. That's our next priority, because once that's completed, we'll be queuing up a Flayed Ones squad. As you can see, the Necron Warriors are out, and they usually should be queued up to go and protect the Scarabs building at the strategic point. Right, so with the summoning core almost about to be built, we're getting ready because that Monolith needs to train one of the Flayed Ones. There it is, queued on up. Bear in mind as well, we are going to be reinforcing some of these Necron Warriors if we can. There it is, it's already been queued up. And so now once the Scarabs have built the summoning core, one of them could even go for one of the other strategic points. Keep them protected, because it's usually about now that you could be under a bit of pressure. Having said that, you should be able to get your Flayed Ones out really soon. Now, the Flayed Ones actually hang out inside the Monolith, so you have to actually summon them if you want to get them out. I recommend doing so because actually we will be reinforcing them, and they have to be out to be able to reinforce. We will keep them at the back of the base though to keep them hidden, although usually your opponent would be aggressive by now, but seeing as they're not, we'll keep them hidden. Because later on, we can even put them back inside the Monolith, and then summon them to the ground when your opponent is least expecting it. So we continue to get more of the Flayed Ones and reinforce the ones that we have so that we can build up our forces. We're spending all the power that we've got because we're building up a bit of an army. There's the second set of Flayed Ones, and of course it's very important to make sure that you have built your obelisks over the strategic points once they have been captured. Now indeed, we can even afford a third Flayed Ones squad very soon, and then when we do, we're probably going to head out and try and ambush our opponent. In this build order tutorial, our enemy is being very passive, but it's more than likely that your enemy usually in PvP games will be being aggressive. But of course, you can use your Flayed Ones to defend with. Bear in mind as well, the next aim of the build order is essentially to max out on your Flayed Ones, but then even get further plasma generators. You may, however, need to start putting down some of these Gauss Turrets if you are under a lot of pressure from your enemy. Of course, it all just depends on the matchup, and it all just depends on how aggressive your enemy is. So I hope to kind of demonstrate some of the interesting tactics you can use. You can send Scarabs forward, or even your Necron Warriors, to scout, and then even summon the Flayed Ones onto the battlefield. Make sure the Flayed Ones get right into the melee attacks, and they'll do some devastating damage. From here, you can continue to be aggressive if you're making some headway, or potentially, you may have to go to tier 2 and get some more upgraded units. So that is the beginner's guide for the Necrons for Dawn of War Definitive Edition. Yes, they are slow, yes, they are kind of awkward to learn, but once you get rolling, they are one of the most satisfying armies to play in the game. If this beginner's guide helped you out, then please do consider hitting the like button. It's completely free, but more importantly, if you'd like to see other videos from the channel, make sure that you are subscribed. More importantly, that you hit the notification bell so that you get a bit of a ding-dong when I do upload the next video. A special shout out to the YouTube channel members, and if you did like this content, you may also enjoy the Space Marines Beginner's Guide that I have on the channel. I'll leave it as an end card on your screen right now. Take a look if you're interested. Either way, as always, take care and see you next time.